just rate, review, and subscribe to the old Blaine and Mickey podcast. We'd love for you to do that. And now you can watch us each day, courtesy of Zone TV. I was looking at, I don't even know why, Blaine. I was trying to figure out just something on the calendar, and I noticed this today. We're less than 3 weeks until the Titans and NFL teams report to camp. They report on the 27th.
27.
That is now less than 3 weeks away. It is 20 days. So one day less than 3 weeks. As a player, what was your mindset right now? Because you've talked about this before, like your wife would look at you and go, hey, are we on vacation or is this workout vacation? Because you're out there running in the sand and you're doing all this stuff. You're going to the workout room. Where were you dialed in at this point, 3 weeks from reporting or less than, well, let's say?
Well, I'm not dialed in. I'm not trying to actually think about football, even though it's still in the back of my mind. That's probably how coaches feel, whether you're at the college level or the pro level. Yeah, you're trying to spend time and embrace where you're at, you're on vacation or spending time with your family or whatever you may do. But in the back of your mind, you're still thinking, oh, it's right around the corner. You start getting antsy, and you're trying to rest your legs, so you go into the training camp where you're not in tip-top shape, but you're right there at the corner. You can turn it when you get to camp. I'm looking to take a break, give my mental break, because it's kind of the physical part of football preparation going into training camps. The physical part was to me the easier part, but the mental part of football, once you're starting to get into the season, was the hardest part. It's really fatiguing for me. So I just want to kind of stay away from it all and just kind of enjoy the moment. But man, it's right around the corner and I'm getting jacked up. So I'm trying to hold my anxiety for sure on getting pumped up too soon until I get there. Like, I'm ready to go do my test right now, whatever it was, where they had us do hundreds, 25-yard shuttles, whatever it was, because I wanted to be first. If I wasn't first with my time, I was pissed. I mean, pissed. I mean, like we lost a game or something, pissed.
Oh,
yeah, I was. Just that whole mindset of being a professional athlete, or an athlete in general, really, from college on, it's kind of an addictive deal. And if you don't embrace it and end up loving the grind, you won't make it very long.
yeah.
You got to love it. I mean, no different than you got to love doing radio. You got to love being a musician. Any of the people that are successful at what they do, being a CEO, being a manager or whatever, doctor, we can go down the list from high to low on incomes. And you got to just really be all in if you want to be successful. And that's what I was, probably more than most, just because I felt like, maybe I wasn't quite as athletic as the elite players, and my edge was going to be the mental and the physical conditioning, which means mental conditioning. That I felt like that I was always going to win.
I thought it was interesting because you've said this, and Coach Mack said it the other day, unprompted. He added to something you've said during the season. You don't get any bigger. He said all this because I asked him a question about Derrick Henry and Walter Payton and guys he's seen train over the years, and he said they're just building up because once the season starts, all you're trying to do is just maintain. Ain't no more building up once the season starts. And that reminded me of you going to training camp the first time and you were stepping on the scales. You were having to lie about your weight because you were losing so much weight in training camp with at that time, the Houston Oilers outside in Houston, at wherever you guys were going to training camp at that time. But, man, that's something to think about because now guys have got to maintain for not 16 weeks, 17.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that's on a lot of dudes' minds. Hey, man, I got a whole nother game I got to try to build up and prepare for during this offseason.
No question about it. I think that was an extreme measure of me for my rookie year compared to my second year, third year, because now I knew what to expect. Been in San Antonio Heat for training camp at Trinity University. Real good
Trinity, yeah.
School, yeah. Was something that I'd never confronted before in my life. That became easier as we went along. But I was really trying to prove something at that point in time. And I think I literally would have taken myself to the edge of death if I had to. And I felt like I was because I was losing weight and I couldn't keep food in. So I probably was dehydrated. And eventually I figured it out. I wasn't going to tell anybody. There's no way. And when I say I lied, I meant when we had to weigh in, you had to write in your weight. And I would
Right.
put in the same weight and 2 pounds less or 2 pounds more than when compared to what I was exactly. So yeah, I definitely lied on that sheet every time, boy. I remember it was one time I thought Watterson was standing there and he wasn't actually paying attention, and I just like slipped in there and did it anyway and kept it moving. Yep, and I was excited. And then eventually, after about a week, I finally got my weight back where I needed it to be, at least manageable. But yeah, that heat there in San Antonio, Texas was, I mean, it was 100 something degrees. I literally was exhausted.
Yeah.
And I was hydrating, but just wasn't enough in my mind, I guess. And I couldn't keep food in. So yeah, that. But once as you get to going is second, third year, maintaining weight was never an issue ever for me during a season. It was just during that training camp. Actually, once the season got started, and I had made the roster, which my goal was just to make the practice squad as a rookie, being the last round pick. So I'd exceeded where I wanted to be. A lot of luck was involved in that, with guys getting injured out for the season. First round pick 2 years before that, Mike Dumas towards ACL. Bubba McDowell, Achilles, Pro Bowl safety starter. Marcus Robinson, torn patella tendon. So 3 guys go down, and guess what? OBB seized the moment. The hitman seized the moment. I was prepared mentally, and I let it fly. And I didn't care if I messed up. Guess what my whole deal was? If I mess up, I'm gonna mess up going full speed. Who cares? I catch him next time. Sorry, coach. Yeah. And guess what though? I was not going to mess up again. Not on that same kind of type of play. It was never going to be 2 mess ups of the same thing. And that's what I held myself to. So I'd be up to 12 o'clock at night studying my playbook. It was just wasn't nowhere around. I know people, I had to have a lot of flashlight because the dude, my roommate, was like, "Hey man, I'm trying to go see. Hey man, I'm trying to study." Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do. Yeah. So yeah. Meanwhile, that guy was no longer my roommate because he was cut.
I was going to ask how long did he last? The guy who was going to sleep every night.
Yeah, I was like, "Hey man, hey,
dude.
sorry about that. Hey man, I got to say my playbook, man. I got this stuff is hard."
Well, you did that too while switching positions, because we've talked about this a whole lot. You were a cornerback in college. They drafted a cornerback, not a guy who turned out to be an all-pro safety.
Yeah, I was a corner and a nickel the whole time in camp until like literally the last 3 days. I'm like, oh no, and I really wanted to say, I've never, especially because in this defense, it wasn't like I was playing deep safety and cover 2,
No.
like, oh, let's have a fun back here. I'm gonna go be a ball hawk, like a lot of them do. Hey, I was right in the mix. I went from corner to I felt like I was a linebacker. I'm like, 46 defense, man. I'm a little 5 yards to this line of scrimmage is not that's not what I signed up for, man. I slowly bought in, and they did a great job of teaching me how to read blocks and everything else. And I just was, just trying to beat everybody to the punch, and my lower body power that I had that was, equal to some 300-pound guys really helped me out a lot. But learned a lot of techniques from Bubba McDowell. I called it the slither technique because he was a really flexible player. I was not that kind of player. I was dumb enough to just run into a guy, 300-pound, think I'm going to win. And that was not the case. So I learned different ways to make plays and to cause havoc. And so it was beneficial. I needed that time in training camp to actually learn all that stuff. I mean, it got to the point one time, Buddy Ryan, literally, I'm in the 46 defense. He pushed me my back in 9 on 7, which is just the linemen and D linemen and linebackers. And to push me in to read how to read a block. He pushed me and I got smashed. And I was like, that
No.
that is illegal. He said, "That's where I want you to be, right there." And I go, my neck did not want to be right where it was.
He pushed you into the.
I was like, what the bleep 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 is wrong with this dude? I was in my mind. I was like, oh my gosh, if I don't buy into this, I'm done. I'm done. I don't know if I can do this. So eventually I bought in. And that it shows you right there, just buying into to believing that the coaches believe in you and you can do it. And I bought it. And then after that, it was kind of the limit. Then then you get into that point, then people, oh, he's just a box safety. And I was like, that's not true. I'm up here covering the slot receiver, the running backs. I'm up here, hey man, this job is actually the hardest job on the team.
Yeah.
But I don't know where they got that from. It was So it was something that kind of fit all my skill sets, because I'm not gonna say I could line up out there in a wide corner, be out there covering people all day long like they did in this defense, in the 46 defense. I like doing that, but that wasn't something I would be wanting to line up every day and and be guarding some of these speakers. I just imagine myself trying to guard Randy Moss.
Oh, no, thank you.
That would have been funny on every down occasion. If I didn't get my hands on him, it was probably a touchdown every time.
And that just goes to show you. I mean, you're playing the most versatile, the most difficult position in that defense. And maybe the cornerbacks didn't have to have as much versatility, but their job was tough as heck. I mean, woo.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to be them on an all day. Yeah, I mean, that's why, Samari Rowe, Daryl Lewis, D. Wall, Sidney, we had some really good corners. Deron Jenkins. I mean, we had some really good, corners. I mean, they could cover. So that's really what was the key in pass rusher. So, yeah, man, it was good time. But yeah, this is the time you start smelling the grass and say it's football time. Yeah, no it's doubt. Football time. Yeah.
Isn't that funny? It's the same way for me. And I didn't play past middle school, but the smell of grass.
Yes.
And not June grass. Not even early July, the way it smells when it gets cut at the end of the summer is the way football grass smells. There's just like a little dirt in it. There's a little grit to it. It has its own smell. That's so funny.
You probably know the better smell than I do because you was out there in the sticks, huh?
Oh, yeah.
That's the grass we was using.
No, I was definitely in the sticks, man. My kids were asking me, what was the name of your high school? I said, Harrisburg. They said, what is that? Was it name? I said, no, that's the name of the town. They said, what was the name of your middle school? I said, Harrisburg. So my son, who was 6, goes, what was the name of your elementary school, Dad? I said, Harrisburg, son. We only had one of everything, and it was all named after the town. It was one of everything, and they were all right there. You went to 5th grade to 12th grade in the same really long building.
Oh, really?
5th through 12th, yes, in one really long building.
Did they keep like the 5th and 6th graders like on one side and then the high schoolers like on the other? I mean, please tell me that was happening, because I would hate you being in 5th grade and see some hot chick that was in 12th grade. You'd be like, oh my God. And she'd be like, what is that little boy doing?
It was a possibility of some of that happening, but there was like a breezeway between say like 7th grade and then the rest of your life. So 5th, 6th, 7th, you were at least kind of on your own part of this hallway. Once you got the 8th grade, though, dude, you had to cross the breezeway into the other doors. It was every man for himself down there, dude. I mean, you were on your own.
People to call in to have some stories just like Mickey about the breezeway and going to middle school and high school all at the same place. If you got some stories, man, you give us a call. 737-1045 the zone and hit the mixer up, man. On that. I'd love to hear some stories about that, man.
Oh, hey, man, the little teeny tiny schools are going away, but I know all about that. And that was after I moved to the big school. I could tell you some more stories about where I went till I was in 4th grade. You wouldn't even believe that. There were like 12 people in my whole class.
Yeah.
Like 12 people. Yeah. That's the sticks.
Yeah. Lucas is laughing at us saying it's time to go to break, but this is hilarious to him. He's like, I've never heard of that.
I graduated with 400.
There weren't 400 people in my high school. There were 400 people on my side of the breezeway. We'll be right back. Mark Long, who covers the Jags and the Gators, next.
They have Middle Tennessee sports on their mind 24/7. The 3HL with Brent Doherty, Don Davenport, and Ron Slay.
I don't even know what the NFL Hall of Fame is looking at because those two gentlemen are the best of the best of the best. I mean, they were tough. So that's why I was a little perturbed when Jeff Fisher said that's our home field. Why are we hyping them up, man? You ain't out here.
Yeah.
I don't need him. Jimmy Smith is already a Jet. I don't need him to put on the afterburners or come and, sideswipe me when I'm not looking, trying to get Fred Taylor. I don't care about you and the coach. That's with y'all and going back and forth with Coughlin with his tight pants. But hey man, these guys are good. I mean, let alone Keenan McCardell, Kyle Brady, and Mark Brunell. Their offense was just, and then Cersei and Baselli? Really? Them dudes was mean and nasty.
They covered those guys, Mark Long of the Associated Press, who joins us now. Mark, we're telling these Jag stories from the Titans side. I would imagine you probably knew those teams pretty well as well. Were you covering the Jags on the beat at that point yet, or no? Is that all just legends that you hear about?
Yeah, I got on, and I started in 2004, so that was my first year in Jacksonville. So it was kind of the backside of the heyday. They were really good, 96, 97, 98, 99, right in there, 97, 98, 99, really. And then they had a couple, they've had some spurts since then. 2005 made the playoffs, 2007. And then, of course, everybody knows 2017, they were minutes away from the Super Bowl. But, yeah, it's been few and far between. Those were definitely that's the heyday of the Jags, and it's been spotty ever since. But, right now it looks like they're, at least have the right coach in place. I mean, who knows? I mean, nobody knows what Urban Meyer's going to do, but nobody's going to bet against him, not in Jacksonville right now anyway. He's sky high, and the team's expectations are sky high, even, at least for the future. Maybe not for the immediate future, but for the ultimate future because of Trevor Lawrence, because of Urban Meyer. They just feel like they've got some pieces in place and the right guy leading them.
Got Mark Long on with us, the Associated Press reporter. He covers the Jaguars and he covers the Florida Gators, and he joins us on Blaine and Mickey.
Well, Mark, thanks for coming on. But we have to ask you, I know Urban Meyer's a big-time, college head coach. He's still going to have to prove himself in the National Football League, but they got fined already. I think it was over $200,000 for OTAs. I mean, what did they do, and how did they get caught?
Yeah, it's the ultimate question. We do not know how they got caught. Whether, the question, a lot of people, the speculation is somebody turned them in, right?
Right.
Some veteran who was like, wait, this is not what this is supposed to be, whistleblowed on them and got them in trouble. That's one speculation. The other one could be, the NFL does monitor these practices. There is a dedicated camera at Jags camp. We all see it. We know where it is. That's supposedly someone in the league office they have a direct feed and they're taping it. Somebody in the league office is watching these OTAs. I have a hard time believing that somebody in the league office noticed a little contact or enough contact during an OTA drill to fine them that kind of amount. My guess is somebody, called them out for it, behind their back, and the league then reviewed it or maybe even called Urban, and they admitted it, and he got hammered pretty good. And, they're going to take the fine and move on. What they were doing was it was receivers versus DBs in goal line drills, 11 on 11. And it's supposed to be non-contact, and apparently there was a little too much contact. And if you listen to the Jags, they'll tell you that this was just, a lot of new players on both sides at receiver and at DB trying to impress coaches, midway through OTAs. But somebody didn't see it that way. Certainly the league didn't see it that way. And they hammered Urban Meyer pretty good. And when you look at Urban, there's some growing pains right here. I mean, he's taking his lumps for Tim Tebow. He's taking his lumps for the strength and conditioning coach. He's taking his lumps now for being a little aggressive in OTAs. So, but if the flip side of that is, Urban Meyer demands a lot out of his players, and he'll probably take a $200,000 fine if it means them being a little bit better when day one of the season opens.
Man, you're absolutely right. And he's getting the mindset of where he wants the players to be at, and they're young and they're going to buy in. So I'm completely agreeing with you on that. But what I'm shocked is if the NFL has cameras there, then why in the heck aren't the Jaguars on Hard Knocks? I don't want to see the Cowboys.
Yeah, they would have been a good pick. There's no question. But here's the thing: first-year coaches don't have to do it. And I don't think, knowing Urban the way I do, and I covered him in college in the mid-2000s, and I covered him again now, I don't think Urban Meyer's the kind of guy who's going to peel the curtain back in year one with a young team and a new quarterback and all those things going on behind the scenes. He's not the kind of guy who's going to peel the curtain back and give the prying public, a big glimpse. He's a very, very closed doors, we're all we got. We don't have leaks kind of guy. That's his motto. We don't have leaks. The leaks, if we're going to release news, it comes from me. We don't have leaks. We don't have this. We don't have that. So I don't think he wants to open that up. Now, the NFL, after year one, can make him. And I would think that the Jags in year two would be a real popular, depending on what they do this year, might be a popular pick for Hard Knocks next year to get a peek into Urban's world, a world we don't get a peek into. We didn't get it at Florida. We didn't get it at Ohio State. And, so it would be interesting to see if Hard Knocks gets it and how much, leeway they get there in Jacksonville. I would assume they would get everything, but the league would have to make him. I really do believe, knowing Urban the way I do, I think the league would have to make him do that, and they certainly could next year. But I'm with you. I think they're a better story, more intriguing story than Dallas and, and the Cowboys. Even though the Cowboys are certainly more popular, I think there's a lot of eyeballs who'd like to see how Urban Meyer does business behind closed doors.
Yeah, no doubt about it. That's what I wanted to see, get some tips. And also, they have some really good skilled players. So I'm interested to see how they look up close and personal at training camp. But you're talking about the players. We're always going to ask you about some guy named Tim Tebow. How is he doing? Not Trevor Lawrence. How is Tim Tebow doing?
Yeah, interestingly enough, Tim Tebow is probably the best kept secret in Jacksonville. They don't talk about him. They haven't let him talk to the media. They haven't let another tight end talk to the media since they reported. They didn't let the tight ends coach. The tight ends coach, the only coach they haven't made available since I think his first day before he had Tim Tebow. So, getting the real scoop on Tim Tebow is a hard thing to do right now. Urban Meyer insists he's just one of 90. That's what he keeps saying. Whenever you talk about Tim Tebow, he's like, hey, he's one of 90. Whenever he talks about the tight end position, he doesn't mention Tebow intentionally because they don't want the focus to be on Tim Tebow. I don't think Tebow wants it, and I certainly don't think the Jags want it because if Tim Tebow is going to make the team and he is going to fit into that locker room, he has to be just like everybody else. He can't be getting special preferential treatment. He can't be viewed as special, and that's kind of how the media treat him. That's kind of how the public treats him. His jersey is, says it all. His jersey sales say it all. But with that said, this is what I say. He hasn't dropped the ball. So we've watched however many OTAs we got to watch, not all of them, but all the open ones, and we had a 3-day mini camp. He didn't drop a ball, single pass. And I'm talking about in against air, against defensive backs, against on the jugs machine. The guy's got really good hands. He doesn't have breakaway speed. We all know that. He's got good speed for a 250-pound quarterback, but he doesn't have elite tight end speed. He doesn't have, elite moves at the tight end position. He's probably going to make this team with his ability to play special teams and maybe his ability to be a little bit of a Swiss Army knife, down around the goal line, potentially with Urban Meyer wants to get crazy at quarterback and Wildcat, those kind of things. That's how he makes the team. But he's probably not going to make the team if they're just letting him be a tight end. As good a blocking tight end as he's got a chance to be, as good as his hands have shown, which has been surprising, I just don't think he's going to make the team like that. He's going to have to be an X factor, a guy Urban thinks he can get a lot out of at a lot of different positions.
Well, with Mark Long and everything, Trevor Lawrence, Jags, and as well as Florida.
So, Mark, let's hit you with a couple of Florida questions before we let you go. They got a lot to replace on offense, and not just a starting quarterback, but the guy who's considered one of the freakiest draft picks in NFL history, or at least recent history, a running back, wide receiver, combo guy who could do it. I mean, they are replacing a lot on offense. How are they going to get it done?
Yeah, that's a big, huge question is what are they going to be on offense? Now, if you listen to Dan Mullen, he'll tell you that Emory Jones does things at quarterback that Kyle Trask can only dream of. And I'm not just talking about his ability to run. I mean, Emory Jones is a fantastic runner, but he's talking about his arm talent, that he makes throws that Kyle Trask could only imagine making. And, and this is a team that not only is changing quarterbacks, but, you touched on Kyle Pitts, trying to replace Kyle Pitts. They thought they had that guy in Eric Gilbert, and then he didn't get into school, and now he's at Georgia. And that's a real sore subject for Florida fans. Former LSU and the number one recruit in the country a few years ago, had a rough year at LSU right out of the gate. Transfers, looks like he's going to land at Florida. Doesn't work out, can't get into school, and he ends up at Georgia. And so that was supposed to be the heir apparent to Kyle Pitts. Now they don't have him. They lost a lot at receiver, not only this year but the last 2 years. I think they've had 7 or 8 guys drafted at that position, so they're way down there. They're going to be looking at Emory Jones and Jacob Copeland, really, and a bunch of young guys. That's really the only 2 guys they got coming back who have some experience, limited experience. It is going to be a whole new offense, a lot of pieces on new pieces on the offensive line, a lot of new pieces, at receiver, tight end, quarterback. So that is the big one. But here's the thing: they lost 4 games last year, not because of that offense. They could score with anybody, outscore anybody. They lost 4 games last year because of that defense. And they got to get better on that side of the ball, and that's where it starts. And they had a lot of freelancers last year, guys who were looking ahead, maybe more concerned with the NFL than being a good teammate and being a good player. And so that affected them, caused it big issues. So that's the one they got to get fixed. And if they get that fixed, I think Dan Mullen will find some ways on offense to move the ball. Offense moving the ball, dialing things up has never been his issue. That's always been his strong suit. The big one is, can Dan Mullen, the offensive guru, can he come in and help fix the defense? Because that's what he's trying to do. And he changed some pieces in the backside, but and they're going to change some personnel. But the reality is a lot of it is the same. And he's got to find a way to get that defense better. It was historically bad last year.
Yeah, no doubt. We're on with Mark Long. And one more before you go, and that is we cannot let you go without asking you about Trevor Lawrence. I'm sure he's a young player, but he will be the starting quarterback. I'm sure he's had some good days, some bad days, but how's he looked?
Yeah, he ended on a high note. He got injured early, and he started OTAs, on a pitch count. And then they got him off the pitch count. And then when he finally did get cleared, he had a really bad day where he, and strained a hamstring and then threw 2 pick sixes trying to play through that.
Ooh.
And so, but he ended OTAs on a high note. He had his best camp on the last day of OTAs. He was fantastic. And it really left them feeling like, okay, we can be pretty good. If this guy's the real deal and we think he's going to be the real deal, and he's going to be the real deal right away, and not Peyton Manning's rookie year where you throw 20 picks, but the real deal where more like Andrew Luck right out of the gate, really, really good. And so that's the taste that the Jags have in their mouth right now. That's the taste fans have. That's the taste teammates have, is they believe Trevor Lawrence gives them a chance to be really good right away. He looks the part, and anybody who says, well, the Jags have been so bad for so long, they're right. But they've been bad at the 2 most important positions. They've been bad at quarterback, and they've been bad at the head coach level. They have not had a good head coach in decades. And so you got to go back to probably Tom Coughlin, when Tom Coughlin was a good coach. But since then, Jack Del Rio, Mike Mularkey, Gus Bradley, Doug Marrone, no, they're very average coaches. A bunch of guys who aren't coaches anymore for a reason. And so now they've got a competent head coach, a guy who's done it everywhere he's been. They've got a competent quarterback, and then they're gonna keep filling in the pieces around him. But they've got some weapons at receiver: DJ Chark, Marvin Jones, Laviska Shenault. Those guys are good. And then Travis Etienne is going to be a little bit of an X factor for them, who's going to play receiver and running back, another first-round pick. Tight end is obviously a big issue, but they've got some pieces that'll make that'll help Trevor Lawrence ease into this thing. But the reality is they think he's going to be a big-time upgrade right away. And he
Mark,
better be.
thank you, man.
Number one overall
Great
pick.
stuff. If people can follow you at AP Mark Long, man, we appreciate the time today. Thank you.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it, Mark.
Yes, sir. Gators, Jags for the Associated Press. All right, when we come back, we'll give away the tickets to Music City Grand Prix. Stick and stay. You will want to win these tickets. That's next on Blaine and Mickey.
When you need to know all the info faster, check out the Zone Daily Podcast with Will Bowling. Available on Google Podcasts, Spotify, and the entire Zone Podcast Network.
You ever heard the old thing about fear of missing out, right? Fear of missing out. So you see your friends post something on Instagram and you think, gosh, I can't miss this. This is going to be the greatest thing ever. Well, that'd be one night out. How big is your fear of missing out on the lowest home mortgage rates that we've ever seen? If you don't have fear of missing out on that, you should. If you haven't checked your interest rate against what you can get now from Ryan Kelly, the home loan expert at thehomeloanexpert.com, you're missing out. And you need to have fear of missing out on these rates, because here's what these rates can do. Number one, you've got equity in your home. You can put that equity to work. You can pull some of it out. Rates are so low, you can make the house that you live in your dream home. Or maybe you've never bought, or you've been thinking about buying. Well, rates are low. That means you can buy more than you've ever built. Or maybe you just want to refi your house. Well, guess what? By lowering your rate, you can save yourself hundreds a month and thousands a year. But you can't do any of that unless that fear of missing out forces you right now to go to thehomeloanexpert.com. Talk to Ryan Kelly and his crew. Let them coach you through the process. You will love it, and you will love saving all that money. Again, thehomeloanexpert.com. Ryan Kelly is a Tennessee residential mortgage licensee.
It's a new day, and it's coming at you fast. It could be the day your workforce doubles.
summer. So here's what we're going to do right now. Caller number 5 gets a pair of single-day tickets to the inaugural Big Machine Music City Grand Prix. It's happening August 6th through 8th in downtown Nashville. 615-737-1045. Caller number 5 gets the tickets. It's concerts. It's food. It's racing through the streets of downtown. If you want more details, you can go to musiccitygp.com and learn all about it. But caller number 5 is just going to get some tickets and get to go and have some fun with that. So enjoy it. Mark Long talking about these Gators. You know, I was getting ready to talk to him, and I figured, gosh, we're going to wind up talking Jags with him a bunch, and we ran out of time. But if you remember, Blaine, they had lost early to Texas A&M, Florida did, and then they got on a roll, and they started winning games. I mean, they had that, like he said, the defense wasn't so good, but the offense just couldn't be stopped. And the thing I remember is they're playing LSU, and it's like, hey, man, if they win this game, I mean, and then you remember the dude throws the shoe in the game.
That's right. I forgot about that.
That was the guy who threw the shoe.
He got that penalty. Did it cost him the game, or did they still win?
No, it cost him the game.
The game, that's what I thought. Yeah, I remember that. That was hilarious. Unfortunate for, Florida, the Gators. Gator Mike was not happy about that.
It was, and I'm sure Gator Mike, who listens, he's a longtime listener to the station, participates, calls us, that kind of thing. Redshirt junior defensive back Marco Wilson, unsportsmanlike conduct for this is at one account of the game, for some inexplicable reason after this monster play on defense, and they'd struggled on defense. He felt the need to pick up a shoe that came off his opponent and throw it downfield. And I remember, it was foggy and crazy and how weird that game was. They're playing LSU, and LSU season was kind of lost, but Florida still had a lot to play for. And LSU was just like, no, man, not tonight. Like we were talking about earlier. Hey, man, we got a bunch of 5-star, 4-stars too. We're just as good as you and we want to be. Yeah. And that dude made the play. He throws the shoe. Kept the Tigers' drive alive, gave them an opportunity to make a decisive 57-yard field goal. The Gators lost 37-34 after their kicker missed a 51-yarder wide left as the clock expired. I remember the fog, but I remember that play, and you're thinking, son of a gun, they did it. And then all of a sudden, he just picks up this shoe and just throws it as far as he can throw it. And at the time, you're thinking, that's probably – you can't throw – and by the time you think, you can't throw somebody's shoe, then the penalty flags come in. Think about being Dan Mullen or that guy's teammates or everybody. You work that hard, and you lose your composure for a split second, and you throw a shoe, and suddenly it's all over. They didn't win another game after that.
Yeah, I thought they should pick up the flag. I thought it was harmless.
Yeah.
But it wasn't. I was like, oh, no. Yeah, man. You can lose some teammates like that because they'll never forget that. That might have been a senior who says, hey, man, I wanted to beat Florida my last year, and they'll be talking about that for 20 years after the fact, 30 years. Yeah, remember when you threw that shoe, you knucklehead? Yeah. Hey, man, they will not be happy. We had that game in the bag.
We were going to win the game. So then the next week, let's say they had won that game. They lost to Bama 52-46. They went toe-to-toe with Bama. But they were probably pretty deflated at that time. If they'd won that game at LSU, then imagine how they feel going into play Bama. I know it's still Bama. Yeah. But if they in their mind, they're thinking, if we beat Bama, we're going to get a seat at this table. Yeah. I mean, we will have beaten Bama. We will get a seat at this table. It's all gone, though, with the throw of one shoe.
Yeah. Big O, he'll have them back all right. But Florida, they're going to be in the hunt. I don't know. Everybody's predicting A&M, even though unproven quarterback. I'm sure he's going to be good. He's at A&M, and Fisher, coaching him, Jimbo Fisher. But, man, the Gators have always got talent. And if that quarterback is what they're saying he is,
yep.
I don't know. If their defense is just half of what it usually is, not last season, Watch out for the Gators. The Gators are always going to be in there. They just got too much talent, man. Yeah. Texas guys and them Florida kids, man, they're nothing like them dudes. They on different programs. It's almost like they came out the womb to play football.
You got that speed in Florida that the speed there it's otherworldly. I mean,
Florida speed and Texas speed is
Yep.
Georgia's getting up there though. I don't know. They getting up there with some of the best players in the country, no doubt.
I wonder if Georgia fans are going to start getting antsy. Remember, Mark Richt was giving you 10 wins a year, and they got a little antsy over the years. Not good enough. I mean, still no championships under the next guy. I wonder when the Georgia fans start, because you're right. As far as recruiting, they're doing that as well as anybody.
Yeah,
if you're bringing all those 5-star guys.
He may be the difference maker, the quarterback. He may be the difference. They was a different team at the end.
Sure were.
Mm-hmm. We shall see.
Hour number 2 coming up. Jordan Dajani, who's an NFL writer for CBS, set to join us in the hour number 2. And also going to hit a little bit of this when we come back. CBS NFL head coach rankings, and we can ask Jordan about this. He's with CBS. Mike Vrabel, not where you would think that he would be on that list based on how he started. We'll share some of those numbers with you when we come back. Blaine and Mickey, 104.5 The Zone.
J. Mart and Ramon. You don't wake up early? Here's what you missed.
What do you expect? Because if it's not what you expect, with the amount of money that's paid out, it's an ever-changing league. The NFL means not for long, not just for the players, or for coaches too.
Jason Martin and Ramon Foster. Tomorrow morning starting at 6 on 104.5 The Zone.
Maybe you're like a lot of people. You've been in your house for a while right now, and you know that it could use some help. Maybe you could use new windows. I live in a house that's 30-plus years old. I can promise you I can use some new windows. Maybe you need new gutters, or you just need gutters on your home to help control drainage. Maybe you need a new roof on your house, but you don't know. There's a bunch of you listening right now. You have no idea how old your roof is. And if I'm talking to you, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Well, that's where Mr. Good Roof comes in. Been doing business for decades, family-owned business. They're up in Hendersonville, A-plus rating with the Better Business Bureau, and they can help you with all that stuff. I mean, Good Roof is in their name, Mr. Good Roof. So whether it's a roof tune-up or just a checkup, or maybe you need a whole new roof. But along with that, gutters, windows, they can do it all. They can make your home your dream home. You'll love working with them. They're reputable, and here's the thing. From the start of the workday to the end, they have a supervisor on site, and you can ask any questions. How do I know? Because I lived it. They put a roof on my house. Time to make your home your dream home. Time to make sure your roof is in order. Let's start there. MrGoodRoof.com. That's where you go.
This is Andrew Bogish with a CBS Sports Minute sponsored by Credit Karma Money. Progress starts here. I let myself get carried away. I knew it was basically impossible, but just maybe Roger Federer could win one more major at his major. He was in the Wimbledon quarterfinals against an up-and-comer that might be overwhelmed by the atmosphere and the opponent. But then Federer lost in straight sets, not even winning a game in that final set. As he left center court, fans chanted for one more year, but maybe we shouldn't want that. Federer is 39 and coming off surgery on both knees. There are no guarantees a month from now, let alone a year, and we don't need to see an exit worse than yesterday's at the All-England Club. Federer says he'll now take a few days to decide his immediate future and maybe his long-term future. We knew the end was near, but it feels very close right now. I'm Andrew Bogish.
Credit Karma Money is a brand new checking account where you can win daily instant Karma purchase reimbursements on items up to $5,000. Now, when you make a purchase with Credit Karma Money through July 23rd, you'll automatically be entered to win $1 million. Visit creditkarma.com/winmoney to open your free account and start winning instant Karma. That's creditkarma.com/winmoney. Instant Karma is sponsored by Credit Karma. No purchase necessary. Exclusions and terms apply. See rules. Banking services provided by MVB Bank, Inc. Member FDIC. Maximum balance and transfer limits apply.
Designer face masks, DIY haircuts. In a world full of things you never thought possible, here's one more. Now you can get the same high-quality insurance from Allstate, but at a new low rate. Drivers who switched and saved averaged $718. With Allstate, you can lower your rates, not your expectations. Visit Allstate.com or call an agent for a quote today.
Reported average annual savings when switching auto by new customers surveyed who saved with Allstate in 2019. In most states, prices vary based on how you buy. Not available in every state. Subject to terms, conditions, and availability. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
Unused prescription opioid pain medicines can spell trouble. Safely dispose of opioids before they can hurt your family. Find a drug take-back option such as medicine drop boxes. Visit www.fda.gov/drug disposal.
A message from the U.S. Food and Drug Administration.
There has never been a better time to find out why BetMGM is the king of sportsbooks. Hey guys, it's Lucas Panzica. Right now, new customers have a chance to win $100 in free bets when they place a $1 moneyline wager on any NBA Finals game. If either team hits a three-pointer in the game, you'll win $100, regardless of your bet's outcome. Just use bonus code LUCAS100 when you make your first bet to take advantage of this offer. Get ready to end the season with a big win. Sign up now and discover BetMGM's daily promotions, boosted odds specials, and much more. Download the app or go to BetMGM.com and use bonus code LUCAS100 to win $100 in free bets if either team hits a three in any NBA Finals game. It's always showtime at BetMGM. New customer offer, paid in free bets, must be 21 years or older, must be in Tennessee to bet. Visit BetMGM.com for a full list of terms and conditions. For problem gambling support, call the Tennessee Red Line at 1-800-889-9789.
Sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Progressive makes bundling easy and affordable. Get a multi-policy discount by combining your car, home, motorcycle, commercial, auto, and more. All of your protection in one place. Bundle and save at Progressive.com.
Get more out of summer with savings on appliances to simplify and streamline during the Home Depot's 4th of July savings in-store and online. Right now, you'll save a bundle on top appliances like this Samsung laundry pair. Celebrate summer with a laundry upgrade during 4th of July savings at the Home Depot. How doers get more done. U.S. only, while supplies last. Free delivery on purchases of $396 or more. Valid through July 14th.
It's grilling season, and you got the best beef brisket money can buy. Dry rubbed to perfection, slow smoked for 8 hours, and you dared to face that perfect smoky hickory wood flavor with subpar wood cooking pellets? Introducing Kingsford 100% hardwood pellets. No fillers or binders, just 100% hardwood for 100% flavor. Learn more at Kingsford.com.
My World with Jeff Jarrett is all about his life in and out of the wrestling ring.
There's something unique about our industry. John Wayne went and played a cowboy. Bruce Willis or Tom Cruise. It's Hollywood. Those guys are playing roles. And then in the sporting world, LeBron James, he steps on the court. Michael Jordan, the best of all, game face. Ours is sort of this quasi-industry, but if you live it 24/7, you're going to get yourself in trouble.
My World with Jeff Jarrett. Listen on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your shows.
From the Mark Spain Real Estate Studio, WGFX Gallatin, Nashville, a Cumulus station. Our season never ends. Your home for Titans and Vols football. Trending now at 104.5 The Zone.
It is 2:04. Good afternoon. I'm Lucas Panzica. Ross Colton scored in the second for the Lightning to win 1-0 over the Canadians in Game 5 of the Stanley Cup Final. That seals back-to-back Stanley Cup titles for the Lightning as they hoisted it at home last night. NBA Finals continue tonight. Game 2 in Phoenix is an 8 p.m. tip. Suns took Game 1 over the Bucks, 118-105 on Tuesday. And Vanderbilt basketball received huge news last night. Scottie Pippen Jr. is coming back to Vandy after testing out NBA draft waters. Set a single-season record for scoring for Vanderbilt last season with 20.8 points per game and was named to All-SEC First Team. Pippen coming back for his junior year. Nashville Soccer Club announced a record signing yesterday afternoon. Striker Ake Loba out of Monterrey in Mexico. The 23-year-old Ivorian sets a new transfer fee record for Nashville with just under $7 million. Nashville SC does play tonight in Nissan Stadium against Atlanta United. That is a 7:30 kickoff. The Braves racked up runs against the Pirates yesterday, scored 7 in the 8th as they took it 14-3. Now 2 games below 500. They are at the Marlins tomorrow night. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
The 3HL, coming up today at 3. Now it's time for Blaine and Mickey on 104.5 The Zone.
Blaine and Mickey, 104.5 The Zone, hour number 2 of the show, locked and loaded and ready to go. Jordan Dajani set to speak to us in about 20 minutes or so, NFL reporter for CBS. But we'll get started. Let's salute to, the dang city of champions. Tampa Bay, Tampa, Florida. It is a Tampa Bay, but the city is Tampa. I get it. Before anybody hits me on email or Twitter anywhere. Tampa, Florida. Salute to the Lightning, who've won 2 in a row after just getting blown out and eliminated in the first round of 2019. Instead of going the other way, boy, have they gone onto a run. Sandwich in between that, baseball team plays in the World Series. Unlikely because they're not paying anybody anything. And, oh, by the way, the GOAT lives down there now, and he lived in some giant rented mansion. Tom Brady throwing a Bucs Super Bowl run. So not only this, Blaine, they're within striking distance of Disney World whenever they want to go. They got perfect weather. They're right there on the ocean. And now they're winning everything in Tampa, which nobody associates titles with Tampa, but you got to now because they're winning everything.
Man, that is kind of amazing. When it rains, it pours, and that's pretty awesome there going on in Tampa Bay, which, a lot of people are, transplants there, to retire. So a lot of people are living the high life right now with the Bucs. And the Lightning, as I predicted they was going to win it, man, they just destroyed them there. And then, the Rays did really well with the lowest, one of the lowest salaries, if not the lowest in baseball. So they're really doing a great job down there. Sports is alive and kicking in Tampa Bay. That is for sure. We gotta get that thing going here in Nashville. We got to get the Predators and the Titans and the Grizz and everybody, man, it can happen. It can happen. They're right there. They're right there. We just need a couple pieces and some luck too.
You know what's crazy is if the Grizzlies won it, let's say because they got a great young core. They're fun to watch. I mean, watch out. Watch the heck out. This isn't the old grit and grind Grizzlies with these grizzled veterans. I mean, they got something brewing down there. If they won it, people from Nashville wouldn't celebrate. A handful would, but a bunch would be mad about it. If the Titans won, there'd be a bunch of people in Memphis who acted like they hated that happening. Maybe the one team that nobody can be mad about is the Predators. I don't know, but Nashville and Memphis have this rivalry. I don't know what it is, but I think Nashville people probably like the Grizz a little better than Memphis people would ever admit that they liked or rooted for the Titans. Because I know plenty of people around here who would be happy if the Grizz won a title, but I don't think they would celebrate like it was something within their own state. But somebody in this state needs to win a title in something.
Well, I mean, naturally they would be, doing the parades and everything else in Memphis. But I would make a point if I'm the ownership group to make sure, and how about we do one in Nashville too? Yeah, let them know we're the city that won the NBA championship. So, yeah, I know it's a rivalry, but, hey, you got to put that to a side. It's still in the state. They can say they disown us or not, they in the state.
Well, somebody needs to have a parade downtown for something. I mean, somebody needs to get this thing going. It's interesting. The CBS head coach rankings. You sent this to me Friday night. We're like, we got to talk about this next week. So, list of NFL head coaching rankings. Belichick wasn't number 1 on the list. That's the first thing that surprised me because I just grabbed it and I saw it started at 32. It was David Culley of the Texans. He got the last vote. And he's new, and I get it. And you actually worked with him. You worked with him. You know the guy. You know what a great guy he is. You experienced that firsthand.
Full of energy. I don't know if he's going to be a good head coach, but he's in a bad position.
Yes, he is. So I thought, okay, I can see Culley. So I just took my finger and I scrolled as fast as I could because I thought I want to be surprised as I go. I was surprised. Andy Reid over Belichick. I mean, Andy's got the Chiefs rolling, but Belichick's kind of that GOAT guy. CBS with Andy Reid number 1. Belichick number 2. They got John Harbaugh at number 3. Sean Payton at number 4. And here's the guy that's like the lightning bolt up his butt, shooting up everybody's list, is Sean McDermott, number 5 on the list.
He's number 5?
He's number 5 on the list, yep.
All right, but guess what I'm about to say? This is when you're a great coach, and I do respect that list at who's number 1. Andy Reid. Played for him, but guess what? 2 other coaches on the list coached on his staff when I was there.
Yeah.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
grown. He knew what he was doing. And Harbaugh and McDermott. McDermott was assistant linebacker coach with Rivera, who's another head coach. And Harbaugh was the special teams coach and went straight from special teams coach to head coach with the Ravens. That tree, that tree is long. And Cully
was there too.
Yeah, he was. I think he was the O line maybe. No, at that time I think he was receivers coach. Juan Castillo was the offensive line coach at the time. Yeah, so his staff that he had accumulated there was incredible. The DC at Kansas City Chiefs was my DB coach. Leslie Frazier is the DC, who was the DB coach. There in Philly is the DC with McDermott. There's the tie and there's the connection.
Yep.
Oh, his list goes way down there, man. He's impacted a lot of not just players but other coaches. That's when you know you're a bad mama jamma. Yeah, he I think he is. And I know everybody's going to equate to championships. I don't always equate championships saying that you're the best. I mean, granted, that means you eventually will, but just because one has more than the other doesn't mean that you weren't a better coach. It's just, you know, hey, a lot of things have to happen, and he's done a heck of a job. You can't slight any of that. But as I said before, was it him or was it Tom Brady? And right now, I'm looking right. Right now, guess what? Well, this upcoming season, Belichick sure did spend a lot of money.
Sure did.
To prove that he wants to be right. Yes, he does. He wants to be the guy because everybody's whispering, yeah, Tom Brady was the difference. Well, Belichick, now it's your turn to prove that you're right. And I hope he does. I don't think Tom, I'm not going to predict Tampa Bay coming back to back, even though they got everybody back. I'm looking for some new teams this year, and hopefully the Titans can represent the AFC, and that's going to be a tough task with all these good supposedly AFC teams. We already know the Chiefs are at the top of the list, but I mean they're talking about the Bills, the Browns, the Ravens, the Colts. I mean the list goes on and on. I'm like, man, New England's back. They spent all this money. Well, I'm not convinced. I got to see this Cam Newton and Mac Jones. What's going to happen there? Because, as I said before, Cam Newton is not an accurate thrower. I know he got COVID and everything was going well, but he was running the football and throwing short passes. But when it comes to accuracy for intermediate and deep, he's just not consistent. Maybe he worked on those things and is better. If he is, now watch out. Everybody thinks Mac Jones going to win it. I don't know. What happened to Jarrett Stidham? I guess he just out the mix because what's my man that's played forever? The Ohio
Hoyer.
State. Hoyer. Yeah, Hoyer's still on the roster. I guarantee you got him. You can be a great, coach, tutor,
mentor. Yeah, tutor.
Type guy to Mac Jones. I'm like, dang. So it's gonna be a young quarterback out there. Unfortunately, bad place, wrong time.
Well, we can get some more on this list later. Let's just tell you, we'll give you the guys in between. We can do that in the 45 segment because we got to get to our guy Jordan Dajani next. Mike Vrabel on the list. You got to scroll all the way to number 14 after the coach of the Browns, Mike Vrabel. All the way out.
My screen is not frozen.
Yeah. All the way out to number 14, behind Frank Reich of the Colts, who Mike Vrabel has a better playoff record than. And, by the way, Mike Vrabel has at least an AFC South championship. Frank Reich doesn't have that. So we'll continue to talk about this in the second hour of the show. When we come back, let's just ask a guy from CBS about this list. Maybe Jordan Dajani has got some intel. He joins us next. It's Blaine and Mickey, 104.5 The Zone.
Need a Titans fix? Bam! Just ask Alexa to play 104.5 The Zone. Your home for Titans football and the flagship for Titans radio. 104.5 The Zone.
step forward with Kevin Stefanski. A lot of great additions on both sides of the ball this offseason. But the Tennessee Titans, I mean, a lot of people want to give them flack for their defense. I don't think that they deserve flack for their defense. I think they deserve flack for the secondary, but the front seven, in my opinion, is fairly solid, which is why I gave them a top 10 ranking in terms of roster in the NFL. But again, the secondary really is kind of the X factor to me moving into 2021. Can they stop the pass? Even with Malcolm Butler and Adoree Jackson and Kenny Vaccaro last year, the secondary was not necessarily a unit to write home about. So it's hard to imagine they're going to take a big step forward, but if they can take a little step forward and we can see some of that young talent such as Christian Fulton or the draft pick Caleb Farley make an immediate impact, then this Titans team is going to greatly improve their ceiling.
Well, since we're talking about lists, then I'm going to stick with the Titans again. That is, and this is in totality of all the NFL. And I think it gets a lot of slack. I don't think people really appreciate until they watch film of how well Tannehill is playing. Where would you rank Tannehill in the totality of the whole NFL at quarterback?
Oh, that's a tough question, and you're definitely putting me on the spot. But you're right. He's definitely been an incredible quarterback ever since he's really been inserted into the starting lineup. And I don't think he gets the credit for what he's been able to do. And especially when we see the addition of Julio Jones. If we were power ranking quarterbacks, we would anticipate him taking another step forward. So, I mean, I'm not looking at a list of quarterbacks right now, but I don't know, maybe top 10, top 12, somewhere around there.
No doubt. We're on with Jordan Dajani with CBS Sports and CBS Radio.
So, Jordan, if you look at where the Titans are ranked in most of these lists, or according to Vegas or different places, usually they're right alongside the Colts or a little bit behind. And a lot of these people who will put an explanation why mention the Titans defense. What do the Titans still need on their roster at this point? So when you're looking at this team and you look at the roster, what would make you feel better about this Titans roster?
I would say a legitimate starting cornerback. I would say just a better bolstered secondary in general. If they had that, then, I mean, even if they had the exact same secondary from last year, I would feel just a little bit more comfortable moving forward into 2021.
Let me ask you about this then. Let's switch to the offensive side of the ball. Derrick Henry, does he get a second 2,000-yard year? Do you think he'll break the NFL rushing record? Or if you're the Titans, should you maybe think long-term, which nobody does? They're going to give it to him however many hundred times. Do you think he just goes ahead and passes some more of those milestones this year?
Man, I don't want to say anybody can ever go 2,000 yards twice, but if there is one guy who can do it, it's definitely Derrick Henry, and he's in the right system in terms of the offensive game plan is to feed him the rock. It is for him to set tempo. It is for him to open up the passing game. And, when you've heard him talk in interviews and in podcasts this offseason, it sounds like, he didn't even have the best year he possibly could. He's always out there striving to accomplish more. So if there's any running back that can do it again, I would say it's Derrick Henry. It would not shock me if he led the league in rushing again, because he's proven to be so durable and just the kind of playmaker he is, where he gets better as the season progresses. There's not a lot of running backs like that. So Derrick Henry is again going to be a star, a potential MVP for this Titans team. They're going to continue to ride him, and there's no reason for us to anticipate he's going to regress.
It's interesting in a league where running back carries are going down and where teams are running the ball less and less. This guy has a chance to maybe be one of those last great, just old school, give him the ball 30 times a game running backs. I'm curious what your thoughts are based on how his career has started. What else would you need to see from him before you said, this guy's a Hall of Famer?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I would like to see him continue to have this same kind of progression for the next 2 or even 3 years. Not necessarily getting better and going for 2,500 yards on the ground. I'm not saying that, but in terms of him being the focal point of an offense, continuing to have success, even though he is said focal point of offense, the durability and the consistency, and like I said, really how he gets better as the season goes on, really makes up for how much of a special talent he really is. So, we can already start having those conversations when it comes to when will he find himself in Canton. But he looks like he's on the right path right now, and I'm excited to see what he does coming off of a career year this season.
Jordan Dajani joins us at Jordan Dajani on Twitter, NFL coverage for CBS Sports.
Well, Jordan, speaking of Hall of Famers, we got one in Aaron Rodgers. Man, what's the mystery behind Aaron Rodgers? Is he going to be there for the Green Bay Pack this upcoming season, you think?
Yeah, I mean, that's what everyone's wondering. And if you ask me my opinion, and I don't have any inside sources or any inside information on this, I don't know anything. But let me tell you this. I think he does return to the Green Bay Packers. I think that, while he is the reigning NFL MVP and while he has requested a trade reportedly internally and he's looking for that change of scenery, when it comes down to it, he's still under contract. And that might open doors when it comes to the kind of power these players have in the league compared to guys in the NBA. I would anticipate that this situation eventually opens those doors and changes some things. But he's under contract, and the Packers have no reason to trade him. And the only reason they would trade him is if they seriously think that Aaron Rodgers could potentially retire if he does not get said change of scenery. I don't think that the reigning NFL MVP is going to go out on top like this. I don't think he's going to, go against the Packers fan base, which has given him so much by retiring at the top of his game. He's a pretty interesting dude, so you can't rule it out. But in my mind, he's going to be returning to the Packers. And I don't know if you guys watched the match 4 when he faced off on the Lynx against Tom Brady, but they, of course, asked him, the commentators, of course, asked him about this drama, and his responses were, "We'll see, won't we? We'll see. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see, won't we?" Well, those responses of, quote, "we'll see," that's a better response than no, and that's a better response than I don't want to talk about that. So in my mind, the door is still open. It might be cracked just a little bit, but let me tell you, I think the door is still open when it comes to a potential return for Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay.
Well, speaking of doors open, man, we got 3 young quarterbacks. I think I counted Jackson, Allen, and Mayfield, right? Their contracts will be up here in the next year or so. Who's going to get the first big mega deal, you think?
I would put my money probably on Josh Allen, especially after the year he had last year, taking the Bills to the AFC Championship game. He took a monster leap forward, and just the kind of player he is with the big arm, the accurate downfield, putting up numbers in the passing game, that's probably a player that NFL teams are more comfortable with handing the bag to immediately. Now, all 3 of these players are going to get their contracts or they're going to get their extensions. And Lamar Jackson is kind of interesting because he's more of a runner, and he's been fairly durable naturally, but he is more of a runner, and we still haven't yet to see if he's going to take another step forward when it comes to pushing the ball down the field. I would wonder how his contract is going to be structured compared to those of his counterparts.
I'm a little disappointed in Hard Knocks in that we're getting the Dallas Cowboys, but it is the Dallas Cowboys, I guess. What would I guess equal success with Dak Prescott coming back for the Cowboys? And I don't think they're a Super Bowl caliber team, but maybe you know a little bit more about them than I do.
It's the same old, right, Blaine? Every year the Cowboys have this massive amount of hype coming into the year, and they always seem to fail to live up to it. So. But then again, you really look at this roster, and I think they improved defensively as well. I think Micah Parsons is one of the best players in this draft, and he's going to make an immediate impact. So you can never rule them out. But in terms of Super Bowl contender, I'm pretty much ruling them out on that front. But they still could be a major player in the NFC. They could win the NFC East as well. When it comes to the Hard Knocks storyline, let's be honest. I love the NFL. I'll watch any team that's on Hard Knocks. I don't care who it is. It could be the Detroit Lions. I'll find some joy in it. But, there's some storylines to follow with that in terms of Dak Prescott and his potential moving forward, his health, how he's going to rebound after last year. Ezekiel Elliott has seemingly fallen off a cliff. How is he going to rebound? They have great wide receivers, a young defense, an interesting coaching staff. So, yeah, it's America's team, and Cowboys fans are going to be way more excited to watch than all of us are. But at the same time, there are some storylines that are pretty intriguing to follow.
No doubt. We're with Jordan Dajani, CBS Sports and CBS Radio.
All right, Jordan, let's talk about a real topic here. Let's talk about, let's get down to the nitty-gritty. Throwback uniforms are coming back next year. I may be more excited about that than anything else that has come out of the NFL in years. If they don't do Throwback Thursday, which I used to tweet to the commissioner every Thursday night when they were doing color rash games, you could have Throwback Thursday, and I would tweet him pictures of classic team uniforms. as opposed to the crap they were wearing in the Color Rash games. You can tell I'm excited about this.
Oh, my. You were tweeting at the sheriff. Oh, my.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm excited too, and I think that's a great idea. And if anything, it's definitely going to improve the ratings on Thursday night. I think that everybody's excited for those throwback uniforms. I'm glad the NFL's made this change. It came a little late in the offseason, so not every team has been able to take advantage and get in those uniforms to be approved, or helmets to be approved, I should say. But those are coming down the line, and I know I'm in Nashville, and I'm supposed to be objective and unbiased, but the Houston Oilers throwbacks are some of the sexiest uniforms I've ever seen.
Yeah, a sexy hitman used to wear those uniforms. Got some pictures of old 2-3 in those Oiler uniforms looking good.
Yeah,
looking
my
strong.
wife said I used to look sexy in it too.
Well, as we pointed out to Blaine, though, Jordan, all of his uniforms are now throwbacks because they'd have to throw back to wear the classic white Titans helmet as well. He only wore throwbacks.
Yeah.
Yep, very true. I love those. I like the new uniforms for sure, but the traditional Titans uniforms definitely have a special place in my heart.
All right, one more before we let you go, and it made me think about this because you said ratings might go up on Thursday. Last year, because of COVID, they played games on Wednesdays and every other night of the week. Do you think we'll continue as part of the NFL's new frontier to see them say, we'll just play a game on Tuesday? We'll play games on Wednesdays and Thursdays. Do you think as the season expands to more games and they need more and more money, will we start seeing NFL games get spread out even more throughout the week?
Oh, man, that is a complicated question with a complicated answer. I mean, there's so many things that could directly go into that. I don't even know if something in the CBA necessarily has – I'm sure something in the CBA would probably have something to do with that in terms of player rest and bye weeks. And then I'm also interested, like, were the ratings, were they the same? I remember the Bills and the Chiefs played on, like, a Tuesday last year. Like, how were the ratings for that matchup? Were they as good as a Thursday night? Were they better than a Thursday night? And obviously, how did they compare to 1 o'clock Eastern games on Sunday? So, I mean, it's a good question. It's worth pondering because as this league continues to expand and the schedule continues to expand, I mean, we're going to get 18 games soon enough, and we're probably going to have another bye week thrown in there as well. It's worth wondering if the league's going to try to move up to some other days that we saw last year due to the COVID pandemic.
Jordan, great stuff, man. Fellow Nashville resident, always good to talk to you. And one of these days we'll be back in the studio. You can come in and hang out with us. We'll just all go in together.
Yeah, that's cool.
Absolutely. Me and Alan Bell will come meet you down in the studio for sure.
Oh, come on, man. You and AB, anytime, man.
It'll be a party. It'll be a party.
Oh, are you kidding me? It's always a party when Alan shows up. Thanks, Jordan. We'll talk to you soon.
Party to
Hey, anytime, guys. Thank y'all.
Thanks, Jordan.
No doubt. Jordan Dajani, CBS. You can follow him at Jordan Dajani. We were talking about Mike Vrabel and where he sits in the ranking of coaches in this list season. And it's funny because we had a Pro Football Focus guy on, Eric Eager, earlier this week, and Blaine asked him about Mike Vrabel. And the thing about Frank Reich always comes up. You can hear that and more, plus a couple of responses from you guys on Twitter about different things. I'll hit those as well. You can always follow us on Twitter at Blaine and Mickey. This is Blaine and Mickey on 104.5 The Zone.
Coming up today on the 3HL.
It's mid-July. That means college football season's right around the corner. Let's check in with Jason Swain in Knoxville to talk all things Vols.
And after the Swain event, all through the show, the mayor's still out. Me and Babs will hold it down. What may we talk about? You better stay on tap and listen.
Today, starting at 3 p.m. on 104.5 The Zone.
won a couple of college World Series. We were talking about pro sports, but absolutely.
Yeah, we're talking about pro sports. We're not
absolutely
trying to change vanity because my wife, I would have to sleep on the couch again. So she's a Vandy grad, so she's all Vandy. Yeah, she'd be like, "You didn't say enough about Vandy. They won a World Series." We were talking about pro sports, honey.
I've seen that couch though. That brown couch looks pretty nice.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's comfy. I've learned to love it. Because she told me I better stop talking about her on air. It gets back to her, and I said, I was just talking about you today, honey, and it was all in good fun and light, and yeah.
Yeah, when you gave her the ding dong of the week one week, I'm sure she got a lot of that got back to her.
Oh yeah, that one there put it over the top.
Yeah, put you over the top of the stairs into the bonus room. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I just had to go make a ice cream run.
Jeremy weighed in. He's a Georgia fan. Georgia, he said, it's because we're talking about maybe what's Florida building down there, and then we start talking about Georgia, and it's like, my gosh, you can't recruit that well and not win it all at some point. He says Georgia, and we were talking about the talent in Florida. This is what he said: Georgia is superior to Florida talent-wise easily. Boy, there's some Florida people may not agree with that. I don't know if he's talking about the state or the school, but
he's just talking about the state. But you know what? It's hard to. I don't know about superior, but I could definitely say there's a contention that Georgia is moving up the ranks to be one of the hottest places to get high school talent for football right now. Yeah, they are definitely one of the top 3 states, which is always going to be now Georgia, Florida, and Texas. I think Tennessee would probably be more in the 6th spot range or somewhere thereabout.
It's amazing how much talent comes out of Tennessee, Blaine, and how that's shifted over the years.
That's crazy.
Just think about how many D1 guys signed from Murfreesboro. Just Murfreesboro. Think about how many. Oh my gosh! Every year.
They just building them over there. I don't know what they feeding them over there.
I need to go down there and eat some of it myself and see if it'll help me turn things around. Here's the other thing we're talking about to start this hour. By the way, you guys can always participate with us on Twitter at Blaine and Mickey. And it's list season, and you may like the list or you don't, but it's fun to talk about. I mean, it gives us stuff to debate. But Mike Vrabel on this CBS head coaching NFL rankings, they had him at number 14. He's 29-19. He's 2-2 in the playoffs. He has a division title. Frank Reich is 12th on the list. He's 28-20. He's 1-2 in the playoffs. He doesn't have a division title. It's interesting. We had Eric Eager on earlier this week, and Lucas, I think you've got this audio. Blaine just asked him about Mike Vrabel, and he brought up Frank Reich. This is Eric Eager from Pro Football Focus from earlier this week on Blaine and Mickey.
Well, I think the hard part about Vrabel is that he clearly does smart things. He has the end of the playoff game against New England where he wasted all that time, the offsides penalty he did against Houston last year in that game that they ended up winning in overtime. Like, I think he does some smart things, and then I think there are aspects that are not very smart. Punting against the Baltimore Ravens near the end of the playoff game this past season was a play that I think cost their team something like 5 to 10 win probability points, which is not what you want. So when you add it all up, I think he's probably a middle of the pack coach. There's a lot of good coaches in the NFL right now. I don't think that means he's bad. I just think if he's going to get into that sort of range where you're talking about him and Reed and Harbaugh, obviously Belichick, but even somebody like Frank Reich in the same division, he probably just has to be a little bit better on those 4th down decisions. I think, though, one of the feathers in his cap is the fact that they've gotten a lot out of players who have struggled in other areas. Ryan Tannehill, being, I think, chief among them, but even Derrick Henry prior to, Vrabel coming to town, was a good running back, but not anywhere close to the sort of MVP caliber player he is now. So he's certainly a plus coach. I don't know if I'd put him, let's say in the top 10 yet.
Interesting for Mike Vrabel, Blaine. One of the things to me that would help him more as far as how people looked at him is, since he is a defensive guy, if the defense was better, if the defense was better. And maybe it will be this year because he's a defensive guy. I mean, the Titans have been known for offense, and they got a defensive head coach. Maybe if the defense starts to batten down the hatches, old Vrabel starts to sneak up those rankings.
Yeah, well, that's pretty much what the moves were made this offseason. It was saying, hey, these guys aren't quite good enough to do what I want to do. So you got Archery, you got Dupree, Farley, the list goes on and on with the draft picks. So
Jack Rabbit, Molden.
Right. Yeah, they just kind of turned over that whole defense, and now we shall see if they're if they're middle of the road. I'm even saying 15, 18. They just stay in the teens. I think they'll be fine with this offense and those kind of weapons. The pressure is really on the offense, in my opinion, because to me, if they don't put up 30 points a game, then that's a disappointing day for them, and they could still win. We could be sitting here saying, "Oh man, you guys put up 24 points. That was a kind of a tough day for you," and they could still win. Hopefully, and so we missed out on some things here or there. We got to work on some, give us that, coach talk there about what happened. But as long as they're still winning, doesn't matter. But that's going to be always the talk with those weapons. 30 points is, if they don't get 30, it's disappointing.
No doubt. They sure didn't get 30 in the playoffs. They got 13.
Yeah.
Got to get better. Got to get better once they cross into that postseason as well. All right, we'll keep the discussion. They did. That's the best game they had maybe in this season when they needed it most. All right, we'll discuss. We'll just keep this going tomorrow. Discussion goes all the time at Blaine and Mickey on Twitter. Check us out on the Zone podcast page. Rate, review, subscribe anywhere you get your podcast. Remember, 3HL coming up next. You can enjoy that too. Sounds like Babs and Ron ready to hold it down for you.
As always, happy Thursday! Peace!
Inside and outside the locker room, we cover the Titans 24/7. Got it! Your home for Titans football and the flagship for Titans radio.